I'm sorry, Andrew Weissman, but if I recall correctly, in 2018, you were one of the people who helped write the Mueller report, and you all botched the hell out of that.
And never in my wildest dreams would I have thought we would be here. I thought we were better as a country.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these sites that have been around for creating videos and all that, like text stock videos, they're done.
That's why Canva was one of the first to get into doing AI.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations. And I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we're broadcasting live on October 26th here in Toronto. The cool weather has come, and I got to start raking leaves or get the leaf blower going. I know Lala's going in the background. Yeah, leaves. Yeah, I know. It's about that time. You know, leaves are happening. But yeah, co-host and co-producer of the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And since 2020, our team has reached out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers. But it ain't all about that, because it's time for the best place to be on a Saturday evening, wherever you are in the world, even on the delay. Yes, even on the replay. It's time for Primetime Saturdays with Queen Aisha and Queen LaLa. What's going on, Queens?
I am loving Aisha's background.
Well, she better unmute so we can hear her too. That's better. Like a background's good, but we need the vocal.
Yeah, this is like that last push, reminding everybody. It's like if you have early voting, get out. Otherwise, we're 9 days away, 10 days.
Wow.
Yeah, with a blink of an eye. Blink of an eye.
Well, what's happening outside of that?
Oh, life.
Aisha got her laptop back. Yay!
Yeah, I did get my laptop back, yes.
So she got her laptop back, and I was saying, like, people may wonder, what do these guys do before they put the live button? Well, I like to get half an hour before, make sure all the stories are all right, and then, listen to some music. And today, and I was sharing this with Lala, I said, I'm in a Kenny Loggins mood. So I put on some Kenny Loggins, and there were two songs. I've Got the Melody, where he's lead, and backup singer is a wonderful vocalist named Patty Austin. And then I played another song called Enter My Dream, which is basically him, and there's some backup vocals. I'm going, you know what? I'd love to see a video of Lala and Will doing that, because I just know it'd be just magical.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see that. It just put me in such a beautiful, calm, just put everything from the previous in the day, I just put it away, and I was just like, So that
I was napping before the show and watching CSI Miami.
Oh yeah, hey, isn't it nice that Dateland's back to 2 hours?
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
On Friday nights, it's back to 2
Friday
hours.
night, it's back. And I've been keeping up with my true crime, but Pluto has a CSI. They have a CSI channel, CSI New York channel, CSI Miami. So I put on one of those to fall asleep at night.
Oh, okay.
Aisha, I swear we're sisters, because that's what I do at nighttime. I put on these podcasts, and I be like, and I just be listening. They're so good. There's a new one now out that does a crime, American Homicide. That's a podcast, and it's really good. And it goes to places that are strange. Like they'll talk about like maybe something that happened in Alaska, something in Albuquerque, and weird areas. And it's really good. So check it out.
All right. And
I don't get paid for that. I just like podcasts.
There's
Me
no
too.
reason.
And I like my true crime. Yeah.
I do too. I do too. Like after these shows, what I do, I watch 48 Hours.
So
And
while
Yeah.
I found out on Twitter that there are a lot of people who watch or listen to true crime to fall asleep.
Yeah,
see,
me.
Yeah,
you
me
know,
too. But the reason for it, I think, and a lot of people said it. I know, I realized it for myself. It's that you get, they do these shows, the majority of them in such a way that you get to see justice at the end. And oftentimes we don't really see that kind of justice play out in real life.
Yeah.
very nice, very nice. So, in the comment section, of course, Lala's in the house. What is that? What look is that? I'm just looking at that.
My Halloween look.
Oh, okay. I'm going, what that? Like I see the flirty hair. Then I'm going, what are those glasses? It's okay, all right. And number one fan of ours, Jen Meyer says hello, everyone. Aisha says hello, everyone. Jen Meyer says Kenny Loggins is fantastic. Did you see him live? If you've seen him live, oh man, the closest I've seen him live is there's a great video of YouTube of him in a show. Him and I think there was a time where him and Michael McDonald toured together. Oh, wow.
Yeah, because they're big together.
Yeah, and then they did one of the songs is they did well, and then David Foster came on for a song and they did Heart to Heart. Remember that TV show?
Yeah, yeah.
Was it Stephanie Powers and
Stephanie Powers and who's the guy that was married to Natalie Wood?
Robert something.
Yeah, Robert Wagner.
Thank you.
Yes.
And like
during COVID, my daughter and I spent it would come on Hallmark Mystery and Movies from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. and we'd watch it at that time because nobody's going anyplace, so you had pretty much all day to do whatever, right? So
yeah, but he's tied into true crime too. Remember?
Yeah.
Who?
Robert Wagner.
Oh yes.
Of what happened with Natalie Wood.
Yes.
And you know who else is in that? What's that guy? Oh God. Chris Walken.
Yes, I love him. His story is amazing. You know, he really
Also on
is
that
truly
boat.
a professional dancer.
What?
He's a professional dancer. He absolutely loves it. Him and his wife used to do competitions all the time. So that's why he takes such an easy thing when y'all see him doing Fat Boy Slim and all that stuff. That's his love. He loves dancing.
You know what I saw a video of this week? I saw a video from way back when of Gregory Hines and Steve Martin tap dancing together.
Yes.
Yes, I saw that.
Yes. Oh wow. Okay, so Jen Meyer says she's doing well, and Jen Myers, I have a good jealousy of you right now. I absolutely loved him. Yes, that's the show I saw. Michael McDonald, was fabulous. Also, I would have loved that. Well, and it brings up another conversation topic. We will get to America in a second, folks. We'll get there.
It ain't going nowhere right now.
So, seeing artists who are up there in age and paying concert tickets, the prices to see them. So, I'll be honest here. I've never really wanted to do it, and there was a progressive rock band that I love, and they hadn't toured in a long time, and the guy's the bass player is 78, the guitarist is 70, and I said, I said, you know what? They're touring, and they haven't toured in years. I'm going, and I'm going, and usually when I'm like that, when I'm uncertain about something, I don't do it. But I said to myself this time, I said, you know what? So about 2 or 3 days before the show, I began hunting for tickets. When the show was announced, there were tickets. And there were, and then 2 or 3 days before, I said, okay, I go on to StubHub.
You did it.
Yeah.
Well, I saw George Clinton a couple of years back. The town I was living in Connecticut, the local city hall had paid for him to come do a summer concert in the park.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to go to the park because the park was right around the corner from my apartment. So I could see from the parking lot. So I sat in the parking lot with my daughter and I could see from the parking lot. It was really good.
Yeah. And so I bought the ticket and say, okay. So, and here's another big thing. I went by myself.
Mm.
Did you?
Yeah, I went by myself, and and the funny thing is, and it was definitely an older crowd. And the thing is that, and there was a young guy sitting beside me who was younger than me, and I go, "What the heck you doing here?" Right? He says, "No, I
Good
loved it."
music talks to everybody.
Yeah, and we had such a great time, good conversation. So
When I saw Prince, I went by myself.
yes, and so I broke a barrier, family. I went to a concert, but first time maybe in years I went by myself. So I said, now, okay, I'm going to go back and do it. Look who's in the house, Dr. Tachi. What is going on, Dr. Tachi? Oh, we'll got a big announcement about Indie Soup Meeting. Just I saw, well, it's a milestone was reached. If you follow Indie Soup Media, you'll see the link in just a second. So I went to a concert by myself. I said, you know what? I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. And it was on a Friday night, downtown Toronto, madness, but survived it. And I said, you know what? More to come. So
Sometimes there's just a solitude in going to a concert by yourself where it's like, you don't have to share the experience with anyone. You don't have to worry about, whether or not you're still connecting with the person who's next to you. You can just kind of throw yourself into the show.
Tick, 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 tick.
Love it.
As I say tick. So now I'm on the hunt. So I'm saying, oh, Will Downing's coming to Buffalo? Maybe we'll have to go. But I think I can rally up some posse to go see Will Downing in Buffalo. I think I could
I don't think we have any problem with that.
No, I don't think we'll have any difficulties with that one. But yeah, that is cool. Well, okay. Let's get to the preliminaries. Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa at Patreon, otherwise aka Girlfriends Chat.
Yes.
Is there. But anything new going on with Girlfriends Chat?
We have a new one. I'm gonna actually finishing the edit up tomorrow. I'm gonna post it tomorrow, but it's really us talking about voting and what's at stake in these last couple of days and what people need to keep in mind. Some of the tricks and things that are going to go on and what people just need to be mindful about.
Okay, good stuff. There's the store and products link, and most of you will see this in your comment section live and on the replay. Join the Discord group. Email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And to advertise your business or product or service on any of these platforms, reach out to us. And yes, Indie Soup Media, where the edited versions of this epic conversation are broadcast. It's driven by our good friend, Dr. Tachi, who's live with us in the chat. Over 40 independent content creators. I guess Dr. Tachi, what, 6, 7, 8 months old? But they have passed 20,000 YouTube subscribers.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
That's so awesome. Congrats.
20,000 YouTube subscribers. So let's see what's going on here. Oh, Jen's making me more jealous. Michael McDonald has an all-female brand. Had an all-female band. Michael McDonald. That's no surprise. And there's another gentleman. If he comes again, even close, I'm going. I'm going. And that's great. I went to see Samara Joy by myself on Wednesday. All right, so I'm not alone. So does anyone know who Samara Joy is? Dr. Tachi, was that someone you mentioned during one of the morning vibe shows when we talked about musical artists? Something tells me that it is. And then she says, thank you. Yes, 20,000 YouTube subscribers. That's big.
That's amazing.
That's big. And she works very hard for that. Very, very much so. All right. So since there's an election in America November 5th, if you don't like talking American elections, you probably should bail right now. All right. So just, was it a program alert? I'm giving you that program alert right now. All right. So first conversation piece. This is classic.
Oh, the first conversation piece before we get to that point is to remind people,
okay,
election night.
Yes.
We're doing a special show.
Yes. November 5th is... We do, yeah. So we have one more Primetime Saturday before an election night, but yes, show alert, November 5th. These two ladies,
Panel.
hopefully Jill Jones. I'm sure the other cast that carried us from before, Cesar, Wayne, and Ryan from Canada. We're going to be hanging out, and as
Dr.
well,
Tachi.
I'll talk Dr. Tachi too. I already have said what I think is going to happen, and I think I'm even more convinced now. But these two ladies are going to hit me over my bald head digitally after we finish this at the end. But let's get back to this first. Did 45 praise Hitler?
Yeah, I believe John Kelly. I mean, why not? I mean, what does John Kelly have to gain by lying? I mean, what does he have to gain? The people on the right are vicious. They are vicious people, and it's like he told a truth that people then on the right just kind of were like, okay, and Kamala Harris needs to, Mitch McConnell and Johnson over here, oh, Kamala Harris needs to tone down her rhetoric. She called Donald Trump a fascist, which he's been calling her since July, right? And prior to July, he was calling Biden a fascist. So it's like, dude, did he praise Hitler? Well, why is he having a Hitler-esque kind of rally at Madison Square Garden, just like Adolf Hitler did in what was it, 1934, 1939?
Yeah, but it's well known, it's documented that he keeps Hitler's memoirs and everything about Hitler on his nightstand.
His first wife said it.
His first wife told it. She completely let it out and then let everybody know. This isn't anything new. What bothers me, and it's always bothered me, is the fact that his cult doesn't care. They are willing to lay absolutely everything down for him. And here's what scares me. I mentioned this to someone this week, and then I really thought about it. And then I was like, oh my God, that is so true. They literally would allow this man to set them on fire and still be on fire praising his name. This is the same thing that happened with Hitler. His followers were completely behind him, but he's following the exact same pattern that Hitler did, because Hitler at first was not who everybody knows at the end. Hitler slowly got in there. Then he started looking like he was doing good and people were following him and he was for the country. And next thing you know, we got where we got and the whole world got involved. This man praises everything that Hitler did because this is the path that he wants and this is the glory that he wants. And what frightens me is we have seen this. We have talked about this. We have shown people that this is exactly what he's doing, but still yet people will not wake up to the truth.
Right. And I think we need to be very specific here. And Lala and I did have this conversation on our girlfriend's chat this week. We've got to be very specific. The people that he most is attracting, where his numbers are the largest, are white men. Mm-hmm. We also have to recognize that when you take all the other groups that follow Kamala Harris and you put their numbers together, they far outnumber white men in this country, which goes to your point, Dr. Vibe, about you thinking that he's going to be able to pull it off. It's a numbers game. When you look at it strategically, can he really pull it off if he hasn't expanded his base beyond bro culture, beyond that group of white men that have been with him since 2016? He hasn't grown it. It is an infinite, it's not an infinite number of men. It's a definitive number of men, largely white, that are going to follow him. And we have to get past all of the tricks and things. This whole thing about him, what he said about praising Hitler. Well, on the right, the trick is, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, he didn't say that. Rather, but here's the thing you didn't hear. You didn't hear Donald Trump say, I unequivocally did not say that. What you heard him say was, John Kelly's a loser.
And that's what he always does. But anybody who doesn't agree with him or fit into his agenda now becomes the enemy. Now, listen, he was on Joe Rogan
Joe Rogan for
Made his
3
people wait 3
freaking
hours while he did that.
hours.
3 hours.
3 hours spitting rhetoric, spitting hatred, spitting everything. And everybody's like, oh, nobody else is doing that. They're eating it all up. Everything that they claim that is good about this man can be proven with facts to be wrong. But they're so blind to the fact that they don't care. Because why? I have said it before and I will say it again. What is the most common that they have with Donald Trump, because he'll throw them away in a heartbeat, which he plans to do, is their hatred.
Yeah.
He taps into their hatred. You and I both hate this. So therefore, we're going to do this together.
They would
but what they don't understand
have
is his hatred for them, with them as well. He's only using them to get the power that he wants. And yes, that is exactly what Hitler did. So of course he wants to say, and I quote, I need the kind of generals that Hitler had, highlighting the administration for the unwavering obedience. What does that sound like, y'all? Unwavering obedience. That's his cult.
Look, if you were to tell me, Aisha, you said that you praised Hitler. If I didn't say it, I unequivocally did not say that. You better fix your mouth. Where did I say it? See, but that's not what he did. Put it this way, by deflecting and just pivoting to attacking John Kelly, he told you he did say it.
Yes.
Because the thing is, the first thing is that if somebody asks you that, the first thing you say is no, not, well, John Kelly's a loser. You don't, every Republican accusation is an admission. Okay? Everything it's an admission. And here's the thing. He disrespects, that's what LaLa was saying. He disrespects these people so much. He did that 3-hour interview with Joe Rogan while making his people wait, while he was 3 hours late to his rally. And most of them sat there, some left, but most of them sat there and waited. That level of disrespect, it's like they would rather, put it this way, they would rather suffer through 200, 300% tariffs on goods and services than to have other people have health care that they themselves have.
Yeah.
That is this bonkers way of thinking, but that is the cycle of white supremacy.
But it's the truth.
And so you have this group of people that follow him off that cliff. But to your point, Dr. Vibe, the thing is that he hasn't expanded beyond that. Kamala Harris, the key here, the secret ingredient to the recipe for winning is, like Barack Obama, is expanding that coalition of people that it goes beyond just your base of voters. When we talked about this the other day, me and LaLa, we had to make it very clear. Yes, the news media has been focusing, Black men are turning towards Trump. They're not. Let's be very clear. A 1% bump isn't Black men turning toward Trump. Remember, Trump got fewer Black men the last time than he got in 2016. And not only that, but Kamala Harris has 87% of the Black male vote. It'd be different if Trump pulled 30% of that vote from her. But he's not even doing
he keeps
that.
pulling people on stage to be pawns. And the
people
who are there to
don't even know.
Pawns, the people who are there to be the pawns really have no clout. Like, who did you say, Aisha, some dude? We were like, who is that?
Trick? He brought some guy named Trick up in Michigan. You know who Kamala Harris had, and she wasn't even there? Eminem. So here's the thing. He just assumes, Black people, they like rappers, so we'll just get this rapper here. He's the most gaudiest looking, awful rapper, grills and everything. Black people gotta love him. He's got gold teeth like my gold sneakers. They gotta love him. And Black people, even young people, are like, who's that? Where did he find him? And
It's fake promises. It's hope of getting something from him as well.
right.
They get to be in front of extra people to get their eyes on them. All the stories that we're talking about tonight are all tied into one another and has caused me to really sit down and reflect on a lot of the things that I am seeing, in the fact that when you say things like this, the cult, the MAGA group, take it and hold it so dear to their heart. And I went in and did my research this week on people who I know who are complete MAGA, who are off on their pages, off their rocker, and they grabbed onto all of these people. And then, but see, the black people, the black people like him. See, don't believe the media. The black people like him. Oh,
I'm sorry, Candace Owens isn't all like 47 million black people.
Yeah. So they take one, and especially an unknown, and they take it to heart that it's a collective.
Yeah, and the other part of it too is, I think we're at a point. Kamala Harris, the campaign has been smart. They have circled back to where they started this campaign. At Roe. She's really hammering that message. Yes, last night in Texas with Beyonce, and tonight with Michelle Obama.
Yes,
they have circled back to that initial argument, because here's the thing. The only thing that Trump has said, apart from tariffs, is immigration. Well, when you put immigration up against bodily autonomy, immigration for a lot of people, yeah, it's a problem, but my God, you mean to tell me if I need to see this doctor for breast cancer, gynecological cancer, and they can't treat me? That's something totally different. And let's be very clear. Men don't know. A lot of men don't know this or understand this, but women, who diagnoses your breast cancer? Who checks your breast health? Your gynecologist.
All right.
The doctor that looks over your reproductive health.
Give me some grace. As usual, there is a myriad of comments I need to catch up on.
No, please do. We'd love to hear what everybody says.
Okay. So Dr. Taji says, of course he praised him.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle Hayward says, I saw, and this is interesting. I wonder if YouTube may take this because we're mentioning Hitler, but I saw Hitler and was so confused. I didn't click on the link because I thought it was the wrong place. Dr. Taji says, and these people who love to scapegoat when it appears things are going wrong for them. The issue is that they need to be pointing their finger at themselves.
And they do, though. Can I please address that?
Yeah.
Because Dr. Tachi, you are so right. Here's the thing. I absolutely, it boggles my mind that the things that they are pointing fingers at others and claiming on these falsehoods are exactly what they are. Like they're racist. Who are you talking to? Because obviously you ain't talking to us. You're pointing out your flaws, but yet they're inflicting them on the other side, which to me, that's mental illness. I'm sorry. It's freaking mental illness. There's got to be a diagnosis for that somewhere.
Yeah. And I think that going to Dr. Tachi with the pointing the finger at themselves, I think they already know that they've lost this Dr. Vibe. They've got 80 cases in the courts right now challenging the results of the election, and the election hasn't even happened. Not only that, they're setting up different groups to blame. If put it this way, if Trump loses, he's planning to blame the Jews. They're planning to blame black men. That's why they keep saying that black men are leaving Trump and leaving Kamala Harris in droves, because they're setting up to use black men as a scapegoat if they lose.
They've already told you that that's what he's set it up. He has constantly said over and over, it's the Jedi mind trick. I'm so dead serious. It's not even funny. That sounds like something crazy, Jedi mind trick, but it's true. If you say something to people over and over and over, at some point, subconsciously, they start to believe it. So he started early, very early on, by saying, if I don't win, it's because they cheated.
Mm-hmm.
This is the message that he's already put into their head. So they're not accepting any kind of defeat.
Yep.
All right. So
80 cases.
more
80.
comments. So I don't know if Michelle, it was a typo, or I think she meant to say white men who benefit from the labor of everybody else. Dr. Chachi says exactly. Hey, wig maniac, what's going on? Also, Dr. Tachi says, which is why I detest the Joe Rogan show. It also should make us look sideways at the platform that would pay him $200 million without regard for who he is and what his message is.
$200 million when the doctor. What did he get famous for? Hosting what? The whatever that show, The Survivor or whatever it was, he was hosting a game show. What's he talking politics for?
Okay.
But the whole thing is, y'all, all the protests, remember, we had the protests. People were pulling their music. I know one of my my favorite female singer-songwriter pulled her shit quick, and it was Joni Mitchell. But at some point, you're hurting yourself when you're pulling your music, because that's a point of some type of income coming from you. And just recently, she put her stuff back on there, but Joe is still on there too. So at what point are our protests being heard?
Well, yeah, look at what happened with the Washington Post, right? And them not deciding this one election that they're not going to endorse a candidate.
Why?
And I posted it.
Tell them why, Aisha.
Because you know what? They will endorse a black person if it's male. They will endorse a woman if she is white. But they cannot, absolutely have to draw the line at a black woman of Southeast Asian descent who is married to a Jewish man. That's just a road too far for them.
And
not only that, the owner of it he owns Amazon. So here's the other part of it too. Jeff Bezos. Here's the other part of it too. People have been pulling their subscriptions to Washington Post left and right. You've had journalists quit on the spot. Now what you need to do, you really want to hurt this man, stop buying products on Amazon, right? Stop that part. But here's the reason why he did it. Because he is worried. This is a level of cowardice in this man. He is worried. Him and the owner of the LA Times, they're both billionaires, but what are they worried about? They're worried about what Trump said he was going to do to the media, and they don't want the plug pulled on them.
And let's face it, all these people with money, all these billionaires, whatever, let's not pretend they do what they need to do to stay on top. So a lot of these huge corporations, and I can't remember where we were speaking about it, could have been on Girlfriends Chat, Aisha, where these corporations play the straddle. They will donate to both parties so that they can have the favor of whoever's in the office.
Right.
Now, these billionaires are all about taking care of their own. So you do see the Musks, the Bezos, all those people who have this money trying to now side with Trump. Why? Because Trump has given them empty promises. He's already said where he's going to put Musk. Did you hear what I just said? He's already given Musk leeway of where he's going to allow him to do his shenanigans. Let's not forget, I don't know if very many of you all know, but a few years ago, it was found that Musk was secretly drilling a hole in Los Angeles to do a high-speed train. Secretly. Do you not know that we have earthquakes? You just can't go drilling in the earth that way, untapped.
He's also been talking to Putin.
Thank you.
And he has some of the most. He's one of the people that has among the most government contracts.
Yes,
your tax dollars.
Yes, and of course they praised the SpaceX project this week. Okay, that came back. So they're setting Musk up to be what he wants. Exactly, he wants to be the first trillionaire, and that's what he's going for.
Okay. We're gonna, because as you ladies are sharing, I'm adding conversation topics because there's so much dropping that you guys are dropping
But
your
it's
knowledge
all
from.
tied in.
I know,
And
but
just to be clear,
but these are separate conversation topics in itself. So I'm just give me a second because we're gonna get the comments, and this is one of the nice things about both of you because you are so amazing when it comes to content. So let's go back to there's comments like crazy, so I got to catch up with those first. So let's do the comments first. All right, so let's catch up. You're allowed to spell my name wrong, Michelle. Dr. Vibe is all right. So happy to be here with all tonight. Dr. Chai says, hello, Michelle. Hey, Hayward. Hey there. Michelle asks, how am I? As I always say, I'll put it up on the screen. This is what I tell people. I'm blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. Thanks for asking. All right. Michelle, Dr. Chai says, Michelle, I am great. Dr. Tachi says, that's another thing. It is grinding his ears that wow, international superstars like Beyonce and Kelly Rowland are standing behind her. He can only get catchy from all happy days. Dr. Chai says, Michelle Hayward, I hope you are well also. Yes, Dr. Vibe, yes, Whiteman, I thought so. Jen brought up the show, Fear Factor.
Okay, that's what it was. So.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Dr. Tachi says his only claim to fame, talking about Joe Rogan, was a wretched Fear Factor. Also, yes, Washington Post and LA Times. Remember that Bezos owns Washington Post. Dr. Tite says cowardice. Is Musk's business being investigated by various U.S. government agencies? I don't know, but he wants government money to fund his projects. That's why he's doing it. And they see TikTok as a threat. Right. Dr. Tite goes, And then Michelle says, oh, that SpaceX having the boosters return is monumental. Yes.
Yeah, and you know, and here's the other part you got to keep in mind. Elon Musk, who's the guy that used to that JD Vance worked for, who's the hedge fund guy, 2/3 of Donald Trump's campaign being funded by wealthy white men who are not citizens of this country. Think about that for a minute.
But yet he wants to refer to himself as an African American. Right. Let that stick in your craw.
Yeah, look, I had a professor, Dr. Winbush, Dr. Vibe, did not like the phrase African American because he said literally white people in South Africa could refer to them as African American, refer to themselves as Black. And that's one of the reasons why I have strayed away from using that term. But here's the thing. If Kamala Harris had 75% of her campaign funded by non-citizens, wealthy non-citizens, she wouldn't be doing as well as she's doing right now. She made $1 billion in her campaign, grassroots style.
Yep. Yeah, she really did. Now, let's not forget, immediately once she announced, how everyone came together for support.
You know what? I'm going to. So the only way says I just tuned in. You missed out already. You may need to watch replay, but stay with us for more. Michelle says, then let's treat Musk like an African American. And Dr. Tachi says, Musk is not African. He is a colonizer.
Yes. Let's not forget that.
So Dr. Tachi lays it down good. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And so at the end of this talking point, did Trump, I absolutely believe John Kelly. Why should we not? Because guess what? Trump had the opportunity to say, no, I didn't. And what did he say? No, John Kelly's a loser. He didn't say no. He said John Kelly's a loser.
Which automatically tells you that it is.
Okay, so, and this leads me then, I'm going to pull up, I showed it at the beginning of your conversation on this topic. This is a really interesting article about 45. Okay, so I'm going to it's going to take a few minutes, but I'm going to read it because I think it's a very interesting article. So let me share it on the screen and allow me, family, to read. I think it's a good thing that we read here. All right, so this article is called 45, I Need the Kind of Generals That Hitler Had. The Republican nominee's preoccupation with dictators and his disdain for the American military is deepening. It's written by Jeffrey Goldberg, and this is from The Atlantic. So in 2020, Vanessa Gillian, a 20-year-old Army private, was bludgeoned to death by a fellow soldier at Fort Hood in Texas. The killer, aided by his girlfriend, burned Gillian's body. Gillian's remains were discovered 2 months later, buried in a riverbank near the base after a massive search. Gillian, the daughter of Mexican immigrants, grew up in Houston, and her murder sparked outrage across Texas and beyond. Fort Hood had become known as a particularly perilous assignment for female soldiers, and members of Congress took up the cause of reform. Shortly after her remains were discovered, President 45 himself invited the Gillian family to the White House. With Gillian's mother seated beside him, 45 spent 25 minutes with the family as television cameras recorded the scene. In a meeting, 45 maintained a dignified posture and expressed sympathy to Gillian's mother. Quote, I saw what happened to your daughter, Vanessa, who was a spectacular person and respected and loved by everybody, including in the military, unquote, 45 said. Later in the conversation, he made a promise, quote, if I can help you out with the funeral, I'll help. I'll help you with that, unquote, he said. Quote, I'll help you out financially. I'll help you, unquote. Natalie Quam, the family's attorney, just responded, quote, I think the military will be taking care of it, unquote. 45 replied. Okay, quote, good. They'll do a military. That's good. If you need help, I'll help you out, unquote. Later, a reporter covering the meeting asked 45, quote, have you offered to do that for other families before, unquote? 45 responded, quote, I have, personally. I have to do it personally. I can't do it through government, unquote. Then the reporter asked, quote, so you've written checks to help other families before this, unquote. 45 turned to the family, still present, and said, quote, I have, because some families need help. Maybe you don't need help from a financial standpoint. I have no idea what. I just think it's a horrific thing that happened. And if you need help, I'll be there to help you, unquote. This gets interesting. So a public memorial service was held in Houston 2 weeks after the White House meeting. It was followed by a private funeral and burial in a local cemetery, attended by, among others, the mayor of Houston and the city's police chief. Highways were shut down and mourners lined the streets. 5 months later, the Secretary of the Army, Ryan McCarthy, announced the results of an investigation. McCarthy cited, quote, numerous, quote, leadership failures, unquote, at Fort Hood and relieved or suspended several officers, including the base's commanding general. In a press conference, McCarthy said that the murder, quote, shocked our conscience, unquote, and, quote, forced us to take a critical look at our systems, our policies, and ourselves, unquote. So it goes a little bit further. And, okay. So in an Oval Office meeting on December 4th, 2020, officials gathered to discuss a separate national security issue. Toward the end of the discussion, 45 asked for an update on the McCarthy investigation. Excuse me, Christopher Miller, the acting Secretary of Defense, 45 had fired his predecessor, Mark Esper, 3 weeks earlier, writing in a tweet, quote, Mark Esper has been terminated, unquote, was in attendance along with Miller's chief of staff, Kash Patel. At a certain point, according to two people present in the meeting, 45 asked, did they bill us for the funeral? What did it cost? Unquote. According to the attendees and to contemporaneous notes of the meeting taken by a participant, the aide answered, yes, we received a full bill. The funeral cost $60,000. 45 became angry. Quote, it doesn't cost $60,000 to bury a blank Mexican. He turned to his chief of staff, Mark Meadows, and issued an order, quote, don't pay it, unquote. Later that day, he was still agitated, quote, can you believe it, unquote, he said, according to witness, blank people trying to rip me off.
You know, I got to give credit to Nicole Wallace on MSNBC this week because she didn't bleep out the words. She said that people needed to hear exactly
Yes.
what he said and how he said it. And I think because part of that, I think I agree with is sane washing. It's I think when we get we fall into the habit of censoring this man, and then can't understand why we're getting the results we get. It's like the news media not covering some of these egregious things that he does, and holding Kamala Harris to a higher standard, that they're not holding him to these double standards. And I think that it while it's getting late, very late in the campaign to do this, I think we've got to come to a stop. And the word that he used was the F word, right? But the bigger problem of it is that there is this, you can read this article, but on the question of did Donald Trump praise Hitler, that is an audio recording that Michael Schmidt of the New York Times has John Kelly saying in his words. It's not just an article that you can read, a quote that someone said. This man said it in his own words that, yeah, and he said, and I tried to say, and he says in his own words, Trump said Hitler did some good things. And I'm like, wait, what do you mean? You don't mean Hitler, you mean somebody else. And he said, no, Hitler. And then John Kelly says, well, I said to him, if you know anything, Hitler's generals tried to kill him. And the other part, that you realize that this man also doesn't know, not only did Hitler's generals try to kill him, that's why what the whole movie Valkyrie is about, right? But also too, the majority of them died by suicide.
Yeah.
As did Hitler.
Yeah. Because he could not deal with the
they didn't want to be caught. So here's the thing. What does Donald Trump want to do? Rather than face prison for things that he did that were egregious in the face of Americans that he's playing in front of, he ran for president. Remember, this man has been running for president for 2 years. He filed after Jack Smith was assigned to the case, after they issued a search warrant at Mar-a-Lago searching for documents, and they found documents. Okay. 2 weeks later, this man is running for president. So we have to be very clear about what his intentions are too, and that anyone who thinks he's running because he wants to help the American people is highly delusional. He's running because he's trying to keep himself out of jail. And how do we know this? Because he told Hugh Hewitt or whatever, that within seconds of being inaugurated, the first thing he's going to do is fire Jack Smith.
Yeah. And put in who, y'all? And who is he going to put in as AG?
Kash Patel?
Did y'all catch that this week? Did y'all see who he's planning on tapping on AG? The judge in Florida.
Oh, Ian Cannon. Someone who barely has experience as a judge.
Okay. I'm just going to do some more comments here. JJ Marr says many right-wingers in private honor Nazi Germany.
Yeah.
And Mignon Cam, good to see you. Hitler's first victims were disabled people.
Yeah.
We're going to take a break. I've added 1 or 2 conversation pieces for our session tonight, but I know the ladies will be able to handle them because they're just super talented. But what we're going to do is going to give them a break because I have a feeling there's more heat in the digital streets that's coming out tonight. So we'll be back. Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa. Join Aisha K. Staggers and Laura LaLa Key as they cut through the chaos and make some sense of the nonsense in American news and politics.
That's not a big enough sample to even say that this is representative of anything.
Sharp insights, bold opinions, and a touch of humor. It's the show that keeps you informed and entertained.
Those polls have you thinking, oh, I don't need to go there.
Don't miss Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. Tune in and stay ahead of the headlines. We're trying to stay ahead of the headlines. We're trying to stay ahead. We're just trying to stay ahead. Forget the headlines. Hey, you're watching Primetime Saturday with Aisha and LaLa. We are broadcasting live on October 26th. And because of your conversation pieces, I've asked about another topic because I want you to make the sense and nonsense of this one. The legal question surrounding Elon Musk's $1 million prize for swing stage voters.
Well,
Goes against all sorts of rules.
yeah,
That's a federal offense.
Yeah, he's breaking all sorts of campaign finance rules, right? I mean, you can't pay people to vote for a candidate. So how's he doing? He's phrasing it as to register to vote, for people to register to vote. But the flip side of it is that these people have to say that they're committing to vote for Trump, right?
Exactly.
I think Elon Musk is about as much of a as Trump, and I don't think he's going to pay anybody anything. I think all it is to get people to register to vote for the sake of registering. But here's the deal. Let him do it. He can do it. It's $1 million a day. So a whole bunch of people have to compete for that. It's not like we don't have a lottery system in this country and people don't know how the lottery works, right? So there's that part of it. But here's the other part of it too. It doesn't matter if they're registered. What matters is that they show up. People can make all kinds of promises and come out to register, but if they're disaffected people who aren't registered in the first place, the likelihood that they're actually going to show up to the polls is even lower. Right now, they're just showing up and putting their name on a paper because they want to try and win $1 million. They have no intention of showing up.
It's another stunt, just like Trump stunts.
And let me tell you something. It's about as ridiculous. They're doing all kinds of shady things. It's about as ridiculous as something I was reading yesterday, where you've got this one Republican group saying, "Oh my gosh, we registered 180,000 Amish in Lancaster County." Well, guess what? Elon Musk's own website, own social media, had to issue a community note that said, "There's only 35,000 Amish people in Lancaster." Not 100. There's only 90,000 in the entire state of Pennsylvania. So how did they register 180,000 to vote in that one county? So that's being looked at because people believe, and they've heard that there are fake registrations, and someone behind it is one of the electors. But even beyond that, the other part of it is that, guess what? Traditionally, the Amish don't vote.
No.
So there's that. So at this point, the legal question surrounding what Elon Musk is doing, at this point, let him do it, because the only thing is all it's going to do is, if the Harris campaign gets involved, is tie them up in court, and it won't do a bit of good because the election's in 9 days. What they need to do is what they're doing right now. She has her legal team forced and ready to go to battle these contested races that they know are coming up. It's not even worth putting time, energy, or money behind. Because guess what? If Donald Trump, and this should tell you this to answer your initial question again, Dr. Vibe, if Donald Trump was winning, they wouldn't have to bribe people with $1 million.
Yeah, there's a truth telling in it right there. They're just pulling out all the stops.
All right. Well, I want to do some comments, and then some people may not know about the story, so I want to read about it. But Dr. Touch is exactly. But this could be why he's acting more erratic during his rallies. Insanity defense, anybody? Neon Cam says Elon tries to give money away on his X. The comments on there are ridiculous. The only way says being seen Elon ads.
And look, Donald Trump doesn't pay his bills. Elon Musk is upside down in Twitter. Do you really think he's giving $1 million away?
Just saying.
Michelle says, I was about to ask, did the Amish start voting? Are they driving cars too? So
Teslas.
There you go, Michelle. Mignon says Michelle met an Amish family when traveling. They know people who drive cars.
They know people who drive cars. Do they drive cars?
Well, again, it makes sense that I guess Mr. Musk again wants to get that government funding, so he's doing whatever he can.
Absolutely.
To get. So this comes from a story, and I'm going to just read from it briefly for our family. I didn't know Elon was doing this. Well, you don't know until you come here. But here's a story: the legal questions surrounding Elon Musk's $1 million prize for swing state voters. Tesla CEO Elon Musk plans to give out $1 million prize to registered voters in swing states as he stumps for former President 45 has raised concerns and could be illegal, some election law experts suggest. Every day until the November 5th election, Musk, the world's richest man, plans to give $1 million prize to people who sign a petition in support of the First and Second Amendments of the Constitution, which guarantee freedom of speech and the right to bear arms, among other rights.
But here's the thing, but not to tell people, here's the thing. He's not doing this to get people to register to vote. What he's doing it is for the very reason I said. He is the distractor. He's trying to get the legal teams for the states and the Harris legal teams tied up in stuff with him legally. So they're taking their resources, their money, their people, and their eye off the ball when it comes to Trump contesting these elections.
So it says, in order to win the money, petitioners have to be a registered voter from one of the following battleground states: Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Arizona, Michigan, Wisconsin, and North Carolina. Experts say that the prize could be a violation of federal law, which says anyone who pays or accepts payments to register to vote could be fined up to $10,000 and be fined up to $10,000 and receive up to 5 years in imprisonment. So now we have people.
Well, he's interfering in an election. Personally, I think this is something that should get him deported.
Thank you. That right there. But they're not going to.
And in a response to online arguments that Musk is paying to register Republicans, the tech mogul tweeted that the winner of the prize is selected by a petitioner that supports constitutional rights. Quote, "You can be from any or no political party and you don't even have to vote."
See, that's the key. I told you. You don't even have to vote.
He says, in other words, Musk's defense of the prize relies on the fact that it isn't directly handed out for voter registration, but rather for signing the petition. Really?
Oh, Dr. Vibe, this is crooked as the day is long, as my grandmother used to
say. All right. And Dr.
If he wanted to go sign the petition, all he really had to do was go do one on change.org like everybody else.
So Dr. Chachi says usually the Mennonites drive the Amish around. All right. We got some people who know our stuff. So there we go. So I wanted to bring that out because you were talking about Mr. Musk. So I said, oh, I don't know if we've ever talked about that.
Oh, don't even call him Mr. I can't stand that weasel.
You know what's so funny? Musk is the fragrance I like the least. It really is.
Classic. That's great.
It's a funky smell to me. I can't stand it.
That was that's classic. I love it.
Whale pheromones smell better. I can't.
Oh my gosh. All right.
And if you've ever smelled whale pheromone oil, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Okay, let's move to another conversation piece. This one was scheduled. A brief history of Tulsi Gabbard's evolution from Democratic, quote, star, unquote, to MAGA Republican.
She was promised some things. So let's look at the history. She came in to the Democratic Party. Now, she has a whole lot behind her. She's from Hawaii and blah, blah, blah. And because she probably wasn't getting the attention that she desired with the Democratic Party, she immediately starts speaking out against them. Then she decided that she wasn't getting the attention that she wanted from that party. So therefore, she was going to make sure that she was going to make a big deal out of becoming an independent. So therefore, she still was not getting the attention that she wanted from everyone, sitting there throwing tantrums over everything and praising everybody to try to get the attention that she wanted. She has now been promised, and I don't care, y'all can slander me, y'all can look it up, whatever, but I can guarantee you that later on, we're going to hear that she was promised something in this administration, and now she has registered MAGA. Her history
proves just exactly what she is, a traitor. She was a traitor to every part of the parties that she decided she wanted to be a part in. And it's all because she wants power and she wants in. You cannot trust people like this. And let me tell you something else that I think is absolutely completely unfair to the American people. When we vote you in under certain platforms and under a certain party, you need to be a part of that certain party or step aside. You cannot or should not be allowed to switch alliance off of the backs of the people who trusted you with their vote. And this is absolutely an atrocious act to me. She shouldn't be able to have any kind of political position at all because she doesn't know which one she wants, only the one that serves her. So you need to be careful when people show you who they are. Believe them. She does not care about anybody who put her there. She's only in it for what she could get. And she has proven that over and over and over.
Let me tell you, Miss Peppy Le Pew here with the skunk hair is in her Nikki Haley bag right now, right? She became MAGA not because she wants to become MAGA, not because that's what she could have been MAGA in the last 4 years, right?
Yep.
She became MAGA now because remember during the debate in the 2020 debates, right? She tried to get a gotcha moment on Kamala, and Kamala clapped back.
Sure did.
And
She didn't like that.
And now Kamala is the nominee for the office that Tulsi wanted, and Tulsi is pissed. Just like Nikki Haley is so pissed, she couldn't be an independent voter. She had to go crawling back, sniffing Trump's behind, right? So
Yep.
here we are. We have, and this is why I say, MAGA women, they can't be trusted, because look at how they're willing to denigrate themselves, embarrass themselves, look like damn just to be, just to get for power. Nikki Haley's never going to be president.
Nope.
Tulsi Gabbard's never going to be president. So what can they do? The only thing that they can do is to get in that approximate power toward it. Put it this way, J.D. Vance was never going to be president either. Right?
Right.
But the moment he got an inch in to where he could be near it or close to it, he all of a sudden loves Trump. Remember, if we're going to talk about the last conversation, saying that Trump is Hitler, remember, on these 2 tickets, there are 4 people. Only one of them said that Trump was America's Hitler, and he's on the same ticket as Trump. So Tulsi Gabbard, here's the thing. She was a military person. She became a congresswoman.
Yeah.
Tulsi Gabbard had the level of arrogance, right, to the point that she ran for president by having to give up her seat. There's a reason that a lot of the people who run for president are senators as opposed to being congresspeople, because presidential elections happen the same years that there is a congressional election. And if you're running for the president, you can't run for 2 offices at the same time. So if you're running for president, you have to take your name out of the running for Congress. Yeah. So Tulsi Gabbard, put it this way, all those other people who are running were all senators, except for Pete Buttigieg. But he was a mayor, but he was an off year for every 4 years. Everybody else ran every 6 years. They were in off years when they decided to run for the primary. Okay.
Right.
So they didn't lose their seat when they either dropped out or didn't win the primary. She was the only person who lost the seat.
So what does Ms. Gabbard reflect about the American political system?
That there are people in this country who are willing to debase themselves, defame themselves, betray their own values
sell
and sell
their
themselves out,
soul.
their souls, things that for something that they know isn't right, something that they know is wicked. So put it this way, if all the people behind Trump are willing to sell out past constituents, people they care about, them, or sell them souls, then everyone should know that that's what Trump is about. He will not do if all the people around him are there because of their own best interests and their own desire for power. What makes you think that that man himself is going to be about the people? He's there for his own self-preservation, to stay out of jail. To stay out of jail. And that should, and honestly, that needs to be the final argument, I think, that all the surrogates and all of us say to people when they ask us, well, what would your final message be? Trump is running to stay out of prison. Because remember, 2 weeks after the election, he gets sentenced for New York.
Yes, he does.
Anything else you want to add on with Ms. Gabbard?
Other than she's a snake, and she you know what? It's going to be very interesting to watch her downfall, because right now she is completely reeling. She's grabbing on to anything that she could possibly have faith that she thinks she can have, but soon you will not hear her name anymore. Just like we didn't hear your boy's name who left. What was his name? The kooky one that got kicked out of Congress.
Oh yeah, George Santos. But here's the thing.
Yeah, I forgot his name.
Tulsi Gabbard tells you who she is in the fact that she borrows her look from Cruella de Vil.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't disagree on that one.
we all know how nasty and evil Cruella de Vil was.
All right. Next conversation piece. Is MAGA a cult?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Okay, I'm the one who brought this up.
You see, when Aisha and LaLa are both fighting to get first, you know this is going to be good. So I'm just going to relax and enjoy the ride. Go ahead,
LaLa.
Oh, I brought this up because something really took me back this week. I used to work with someone in Colorado, and we worked for a small company, and we worked very well together. And we actually had same wavelengths, same thoughts, same beliefs in the political system. And we talked about voting. We did all these things, and we were happy. Then unfortunately, she lost her job. I no longer worked there anymore. And for many years, we were stepped outside. Then all of a sudden we were able to connect again many, many years later. And she works now for the Republican Party in a state. I'll just say a state. And because she went completely off the rails, she was one of those people that you have to decide if you want that kind of negativity in your life or not. She was making comments on my page that were completely against anything that I believed. And I'm sorry, that's my safe space. You may have freedom of speech, but you do that on your page. So I blocked her because I asked her politely not to do that, and she continued to do it. So I blocked her. Well, you can't block people on your business pages on Facebook. So all of a sudden, she's been liking a lot of my stuff on Facebook, my business page. And so I decided to go and check in on her. And when I did, I literally wanted to throw up. The reason I say this is a cult is because she has drank the Kool-Aid. Because she now works with the Republican Party, I'm pretty sure she's decided that she needs to make sure that she stays assimilated within this party. I know for a fact that this was not the thoughts that she was having before now, but now she is spewing hate. This is a Hispanic woman. She is spewing hate. She is spewing lies. And everything that we have talked about tonight directly tied into what I found on her pages and what now is her belief against everything. She is the one who is putting up the things like See, they like us, meaning the Black folk. She's putting up these AI images of us surrounded by Trump. She's putting up the pictures of Trump being surrounded by evangelical Christians praying over him. She is bashing Kamala to the point where, honestly, it's slander. And if you ask me, slander is still something you can sue for. So when I say people are drinking the Kool-Aid, the fact that they don't even take into account truths and are willing to do anything to be in the good graces of anyone who is in the shadow of someone. This goes with anybody, Jim Jones, all these religious cults, Waco, Texas. This is all interesting to see when you know that this was someone who was actually in your life and did not believe that. It makes you wonder what it is that causes them to flip and now completely lose themselves in this whole cultish behavior. I know for a fact that she is involved in a cult. Does it hurt me? It hurts me very much because she is someone who I deeply cared about for a very long time, and I no longer have any kind of connection with her again. And to see her go down this road hurts me to my heart. And so is this a cult? Very much so. And I have watched her go down this road, and it's nothing that I can do to help.
Yeah. My answer is very simple. You brought up Jim Jones. And the phrase he used was drink the Kool-Aid, and we have to remember that the origins of that lie with Jim Jones was Flavor Aid, but the phrase drink the Kool-Aid came from that, the fact that these people are believed to have committed suicide. What we found out in years since is that a lot of them were actually murdered and forced or injected. But the fact that Jim Jones sold these people, mostly Black people, an ideal of a place that they could be, where they could just be them whole selves and not have to be part of a society that was rejecting them, part of this racist society. You're talking about people who lived through the civil rights movement, through Jim Crow, who wanted, a kind of freedom that he was offering. And that kind of thing can be very seductive to people when freedom looks like it can be this way versus what you know and what you've experienced. But if you really want to know if MAGA behind Donald Trump is a cult, I encourage you to do these two things. Watch a full Trump rally. Mm-hmm. Then go on YouTube and find the Jim Jones tapes of that last day while everybody was, the conversations before when they're having the conversations, and then when people are dying, and listen to Jim Jones and listen to Donald Trump.
Okay.
There's no daylight between those two.
Got to catch up on some comments. True Crimes Pursuit. All right. I pray to the universe Hitler does not win. Also says a deadly cult. Dr. Chachi says, hello to the only way. She also says, short answer, yes, it is a cult. The only way says hello to Dr.
I heard you say that in my head, Dr. Tachi.
All right. Mignon Cam says, cult, usually a small group devoted to a person, idea, or philosophy. It says, and it continues with the definition that exists in some degree of tension with the dominant religious or cultural inclination of society. The only way says, good point. And she goes from Encyclopedia Britannica. And she says, Minnie says, people join cults when something is lacking in their self-esteem or they are in a transitional life phase. It's when they are in a season of wanting to belong or feel lost. What else? Dr. Chai says, Mignon Cam, indeed. Cults are full of people who are searching for fulfillment. So there we go.
Then I think in this instant, I don't even think it's people searching for fulfillment. It's people who are seeing a country change that had already been changing, but now they're forced to look at it and they want the constant reassurance that it's going to be the way that they want it to be, the way they thought it would be. Think of it this way. Racism and things have always existed. But there was a time when you could go turn on the TV and you might see one black person, but then there's also a time when you didn't see any, right? Now with technology and access to social media and smartphones and everything, people can't escape these things. 24-hour news cycles, they can't escape people who are not like them. And that right there is driving a lot of people crazy. It is driving them crazy. What Donald Trump is telling them is, I can make America the way that you remember it. I can take us back. I can put all that stuff away so you don't have to look at it, don't have to see it, and you can live in this fantasy world of America looking like Leave It to Beaver.
Yep.
When America looks more like the nightly news.
MAGA.
Anything else? Is it a cult? Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and here's the thing: when your cult becomes a political party that is backed by money and people who want power, that's what gives the cult legitimacy. Nobody gave the Branch Davidians legitimacy. Jonestown didn't have a whole lot of legitimacy. Those people who all used to wear the white shirts and the black pants and all died in the beds together, that didn't have legitimacy. What's giving MAGA as a cult legitimacy is that it has money behind it, and it has people who have positions of power behind it.
It's all about the money. Follow the money. We'll always say that. All right, I'm going to bring one last conversation piece that I've been studying and hearing more and more. That is this presidential election showing the divide between men and women in the United States? And the reason why I'm bringing this conversation piece up, I listened to a piece on NPR this week, and it was a husband and wife, and they were so different in their opinions of the election. Plus, it seems that the polls are showing that Ms. Harris is trending higher in favoritism with women than men, and 45 with men and women, especially how he's really trying to get young men to vote for him, appearing with UFC, Joe Rogan, and all those things. He's really trying to incite the young men vote for him. Like, you know, the women are it's a very confusing message. But what do you feel? Do you feel that there's a divide between the men and women of your country?
Again, I go back to what's behind these numbers and what's behind people are saying we've got to stop letting the white be silent. Okay, because remember, like I said at the start of the conversation, Kamala Harris has 87% of black men. There really is no divide between black men and women on Kamala Harris. That's a media fabrication. What there is what is more important to women in this cycle versus what is more important to men as an issue to vote on. Now, when it comes to white people, that divide is very stark. It is very stark because of that bro culture there, but also too, if there are also these caveats. So by Trump trying to court the youthful male vote, that tells you there that he's worried about young white men, because young people tend to trend toward the left. So he's not trying. Donald Trump doesn't care about the votes of young people of any other color except for young white men. He wants young white men. So is there a divide between men and women? White people specifically, yeah, there probably is a divide. But then we have to remember, we asked this question in 2016, we asked in 2020, and white women overwhelmingly voted for Donald Trump. So is the divide, is there a divide? I think the only thing that makes the divide seem greater is that in the decision since the last presidential election, Roe was overturned.
Roe versus Wade.
And so that changes how women of all stripes, women of all political parties are viewing this election, because it's not just about bodily autonomy. it's the realization of things. So, for example, I had cervical dysplasia, which is a precancerous condition, in my 20s. When they do cryotherapy for it to remove the precancerous cells, they use the same mechanism that they use for an ultrasound. They use a DNC to go in there. Well, guess what? If I lived in Georgia, I wouldn't have been able to get that treatment now if I had it returned now at this stage of my life, because it's the mechanism that they have made illegal, right? And so, but men don't understand that. The men who make these laws think that that particular procedure is only used for terminating pregnancy.
Right.
When it's used for allowed things. Some women who have very heavy periods and endometriosis and issues like that go get DNCs just to clean out leftover tissue left over from a heavy period. It doesn't mean that they're trying to have an abortion, but those things have been outlawed. And so this tells you this is fundamentally a divide between men understanding what's important to women and women trying to figure out what is it that you guys want? Because here's the thing, we've done this on this show. There have been tons of men, tons of Black men specifically in the early, when we first started talking about Project 2025. Well, what has the Democratic Party done for Black men? Blah 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 blah. And when you ask the question, what specifically do you want? They will not answer.
No.
They will not answer. As women, we have been able to articulate what we want, but when I ask you that question, don't say you're not getting what you don't want. And then when I ask you the question, you can't answer it. That is where I think this divide comes from. But we have to be very careful here and make sure that we're saying the thing. The white should not be silent in this conversation.
No. But I think that's the whole point. They're trying to make it seem like there's a larger divide than what it is. Because what is the rule? When you divide, you conquer. What is our motto in America? United we stand, divided we fall. And that is exactly what we're doing. I find it very interesting that a lot of these Occupy Democrat ads are doing so well in the fact that they tap into these myths, and then they tap into the fears of some of these people who are divided, because there's a whole big thing that is saying, like you said, a husband and a wife came on a show and they were both completely divided. Well, a woman is most likely going to be divided, especially when, like, you're talking about my body. You are talking about my body and what I need to do, and on the basics of what I need to do for my own mental health, for my daughters, for my sisters, for my mothers, for my aunts. And I find it very interesting that there was a very powerful commercial that was put out where it was a husband and wife who got into a car. Of course, he's clearly MAGA. He has the red hat on, and he gets in and he basically tells his wife, you know how we're voting today, right? Yeah, you know, we're very clear on that, right? And she's like, mm-hmm. And she starts to look around, and you see her looking at these young women walking around. You see her looking at these young girls walking around, and, you know, and she's internally conflicted on what her husband is saying to her and what she's seeing and what she knows in her heart. Still, yet she does vote that way that her heart tells her to vote. And so by the time they come out of the polls, he comes and looks at her like, we voted that way, did you? And they made it a point to say, your vote is your vote. You don't have to tell anyone how you voted. What you did behind that curtain of pulling that lever, or whatever you did with the mail-in vote, is yours and yours only. And you don't have to tell someone how you vote. You need to vote for you. Do not let someone bully you into voting what you don't believe. Right. You vote your conscience.
And I think that's part of the problem.
There is a divide, but it's a divide between Roe versus Wade.
And I think that's part of the problem that we see with married couples, and people are keeping up these traditions that from the past, where husbands and wives voted together. The wife voted as the husband voted. And remember, when that happens, the women who do that, they're not voting in their own best interests. They're voting in the best interests of their husbands.
All right, and I'm catching up with some comments here. Michelle says, how y'all discuss Stacey Abrams' breakdown of black men voters? JJ Mars says, we haven't, but you can hit us with she's got some more comments coming. JJ Mars says, bottom line, it's that it's all in God's hands. Good to see you, JJ Mars, as always. Michelle says, black men under 50 years old are focused on the economy. This different, I guess this is different than black women who are focused on our bodies.
I don't think that's necessarily true, because when it comes down to it, also remember, for black women, the issue of our bodies is also an economic issue for us.
She also says, what confused me is men asking for child support forgiveness, but not women's rights.
Right.
Now, the minute they say that Viagra is included in birth control or whatever they're doing, then all this will change.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it.
So the divide is between more people who are white than black, according to both of you, or at least Aisha.
I think so. When it comes down to who has the bigger divide between men and women, I think here it is. The divide of who they're voting for. I think yeah, that is it. The issues that they're voting on, I think across the board, men and women are voting on different issues. But when it comes to the who, I think you can't say that, oh, well, there's a big divide between black men and black women on who supports Kamala and who doesn't. Our numbers are both above 80% for Kamala.
All right. So that's
Bush, not Bush. Trump hasn't even cleared 20%.
Okay. Aisha, in our back and forth in our private channel, said before we close out, you wanted to give some thoughts.
I want it to be part of the conversation. I really have. It's just, I just want to remind people, make sure you check your registration, because there are shenanigans going on. If you can, please early vote. Don't do like me and get to the polling place and be so excited to vote that you put your car in park, throw the parking brake up, and you forget to turn the car off.
Did you do that?
I did that, and I'm like telling my daughter, come on, hurry up. She's like, Mommy, you didn't turn the car off. And I'm like,
yeah.
It literally took us 7 minutes. We were in there and out there, but do early vote if you can. I think that's going to make a difference for Kamala Harris, but also to make sure if you're in a state where you have to have registration that matches the address and all, make sure all of your stuff matches. My state, you just have to show photo ID, period, or an ID, period. We're very, we've got pretty good rules here, but if you're in one of those states where voter suppression is the norm, make sure all of your stuff is intact. Make sure you bring your own bottle of water in places like Georgia and some of these other places where you can't get water and it's illegal for someone to give you a bottle of water. Make sure you have a snack. Make sure you have a chair.
You didn't know that, Dr.
Oh, I knew that. I just want to make sure. If I heard that before, but I want people to hear that.
Yes. So there are places like in Georgia where it is illegal for people, because before there used to be people, nonpartisan, who would come up and just give people standing in the lines to vote bottles of water and snacks. They changed the law and said they cannot do that again, because the goal is to make sure that you get so tired, so thirsty from standing in these long lines because they closed all these polling places that you'll just be, I'm not going to vote. And who does this hurt?
Or you die waiting in line.
Right. So make sure that you bring things, you're dressed comfortably, you have comfortable shoes on. Make sure you are ready, because the shenanigans are going to be afoot. But they were in 2020, but 2024 is different, because there's something different. They're not running against the old guy anymore. They're running against this younger this Generation Jones Black woman. And the fact is, they had a hard time with a Black man, but they really, really, really can't stomach a Black woman. And so all of the things are going to be afoot. And remember, the guy on the other side is running to stay out of jail. So he's a desperate man, and desperate men do desperate things.
Well, he's already lined up to do desperate things when he finds out he's lost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Michelle says add in vasectomies for vasectomies mandatory for
Yes.
child support forgiveness. She also says more women are voting in most battleground states. Also said, okay, we got that twice. And she says early voting has been busy. Now, I've been reading that the early voting, also a lot of Republican supporters are voting early, which is interesting.
But here's the thing. Think about it this way. If somebody goes to ask, because here's the thing, no one knows how you vote when you go in. It's people when they leave that they're asking people. Well, self-reports are only as reliable as the person giving the self-report. How many people are going to leave polling places in these red battleground states saying, yeah, I voted Democrat, when we have the kind of political violence that we've had? It's not like people are saying, oh, well, we had this number of registered people. Because remember, in some places, you don't have to be registered with a party to vote. So for the most part, that's just to vote in a primary. So they're not getting the numbers from the people at the polls. They're getting them from self-report.
So, and Minyan Kim, I'll agree with her on this. Canada voting is so much more simpler than this. Glad I went through job training with Elections Ontario. Yeah, it's much easier here. Well, we don't live as divided a landscape, but it's so much.
Well, you got to remember too where our election system comes from, and this idea of the Electoral College is steeped in our legacy of slavery, right? You had the southern states, slaveholding states, who wanted to count the number of slaves to enhance their power in terms of numbers in Congress, but they didn't want to allow those people to vote.
Got it.
They wanted it both ways. They wanted to be able to count them as people.
Of course,
they want to be able to count them as people so that they can have more representatives making influence on the laws, but they didn't want those people they counted to be able to vote.
Got it. Ladies, as always, as it gets closer, are you still who's gonna win as we sit right now, October 26th, 8:31 Eastern time? Who's gonna win the popular vote?
Kamala Harris.
Kamala.
Who's gonna win the Electoral College?
Kamala. It's gonna be very close, but it's going to be Kamala.
I don't even think it's going to be close. I think that if she picks up on election night at least 2 to 3 of those battleground states, it's done. And I'm not talking the typical ones. I'm talking like if she picks up Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
So this is another reason to be where you is right now, whatever platform, on November 5th, because
it's the first person to get to 270 in the Electoral College. And remember, not every state has the same number of electoral votes.
That's right.
Some of those battleground states have more electoral votes than other battleground states. So if she gets Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, it's done deal, period.
All right.
Because of all the battleground states, those have the most.
Okay. Michelle says enslaved were 9/16 of a person.
Yeah.
Dr. Taji says great show as usual. Absolutely. The ladies rock the house as usual. If you don't know, you don't know. So I'm just saying. Ladies, as always, want to say thank you for taking your valuable time to share with the family here. And as always, we want you to tell us how to get a hold of you. Here's a simple one.
I'm simple. I am Laura LaLa Key, international real estate agent and vocalist. And you can find me here at bit.ly/Laura Key info. Now, listen, I actually have something good for you right now. I'm seeing there are a lot of people who are reeling from their finances. So I created a really great free workbook that says Getting a Handle on Your Money. And it's a 21 to 30 day challenge that you can write down everything that you're doing and actually look at what you're spending. The minute you start deciding that you want to get a handle on your budget is the day that you will start getting a handle on your budget. So go ahead and download that workbook. It's free. And let's not get wrapped up in the holidays that are around the corner.
Facts. Aisha K. Staggers.
You can find me on Instagram at Aisha Staggers, at AK Staggers, Twitter at Aisha Staggers, and check me out on Medium. Aisha Staggers, just search my name. And I have a whole bunch of articles I've been writing on aging, different perspectives, what I feel about this election, and things like that.
Wonderbar. All right. So let's bring here how you can get a hold of me. And there's stuff I usually do during the conversation and I forgot to do it. So I'm going to multi-purpose right now because I'm going to put all the stuff that I shared at the beginning of the conversation now, but these are all the places. Oh, here we go. So Michelle says Kamala's going to win. She also says Georgia and North Carolina have been gerrymandered. Yes, that's a whole other conversation. So let me just do a few things here. So I'm going to be multi-purposing. So these are all the places that you can get a hold of me. Website, the drvibeshow.com. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. The Dr. Vibe Show. Instagram at the drvibeshow. X/Twitter at drvibeshow. Email address dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And you know something? I just sent something out, and this is have to apologize. I sent some wrong stuff out, so I've got to correct something. So just give me a second here, family. Get the right stuff out to the right platforms. All right. This is why. All right. So what I'm doing here is sharing some information. So let's do this. All right. Okay. Let me do that. See, I'm multi-purposing in real time here. So let me take that off and do this. So just give me a second, fam. I'm putting all the stuff for Primetime Saturday in all your comment sections. So just give me a quick second so I can just share this out because I want to represent the ladies properly. Let's do that. I just got one more to do and we will be good. So let me see. There's one more. Discord and then the store. All right. I'm going to send that out. 100%. Do that. Do that. I guess when you do 5,000 of these things, you can do this on the fly. All right. So let's finish it off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions. Then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And always, just as always, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And remember to give yourself grace. And one last thing, where you can watch replays of this epic conversation. You can watch replays of Primetime Saturday with Aisha LaLa at the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and the Dr. Vibe Show website, the drvibeshow.com. So thank you for hanging in there at the end, family. I had forgot that stuff. The conversation was so epic. I forgot to do that. So don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And as always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger, block assumptions, and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And I'll say it again. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourselves grace and follow us. Share the information. Follow Aisha, LaLa, myself, and share it out with people who are all along the network. God bless. Peace to well. Keep the faith and walk good.